Hey traders, Mike Katz here with today's trader takeaways coming to you from 7 Points Capital. So I hope everybody had a really good weekend and back to work on Monday. Markets overall headed higher, and let's actually look at the SPYs real quick. Let's get out of this thing. Let's go back to the SPYs. And we had a lot of volatility a couple weeks ago, and we put in a pretty big hammer with an anomaly, and then we just went sideways for a couple of days, and it's been up ever since. Right, we went up, and then when it looked like it was going to curl down here, topping tails and all that good stuff, what happened? It just went sideways and couldn't really put together any real sell-off, and so we corrected by going sideways instead of pulling back, and basically we made another higher high here. So the market still got a bid. I guess it's still BTD, BTFD, all that good stuff, buy the dip. And, we'll see if we retest the highs. Right now, it just looks like the shorts aren't having a good time. So coming into today, my game plan was do less. Market did feel a little bit quiet. Volume, you could see here, is definitely dying down. And so I was really looking forward to just doing very little and waiting for really good setups. Well, I didn't do a really good job at that, and let's go over a couple of stocks here. So I was looking at Snap. This thing has been weak after earnings, after that big bar where it went from 17 to 21. It's been down ever since, right? So on a bigger time frame, it's weak. And looking at the 15-minute, also looks like it's curling down, down, and sideways. Couldn't really bounce here in this area. So I figured, we're going to retest the lows here and we're going to go lower. So now when I came in this morning, I'm thinking, okay, I'd like to see if I can find any 1 minute setups where I can get involved on the short side. And I wanted to see if there's anything to do here. So basically there was a setup, and I got involved right around here. So we had the open, we had a drop, opening volatility all over the place, but then we started coming back to VWAP and broke below. And then when we bounced, we made a lower high versus here, and then we came back down and bounced again, and this time got rejected by VWAP and another lower high. So I started shorting right here. So right there. So right in this area is where I started shorting, thinking this is my descending triangle setup. Nice little drop. Nice little continuation to the downside. And I cover half here. So far so good. I put on my risk versus 51. When I'm in here, I put on my risk versus here. And I figured it's $0.50. We got a high here. It's a good resistance, good spot to trade versus. And then came down, started making lower highs, broke support, covered half, comes back here. I believe it was either here or here. Yeah, like so right here I shorted back. Here I shorted some more. And then looked like it was going to drift lower again. But we had this news come out. As funny as this is going to sound, Kylie Jenner says she actually doesn't mind using the new Snapchat. After the other day, she said she didn't like it, right? And that was one of the reasons the other day it took a pretty big drop. So today, when that news came out, some pretty big sell-off came in. Some pretty big lift came in to the upside on volume, and I was looking to have stops in place today. That's how I was trading, looking to have stops in there just to stay disciplined and not to have anything get too far away from me. So I had stops in this, and I'm going to show you my execution chart. It's not going to be pretty. Hopefully you guys don't laugh, but you can see my trades here. So we can see my descending triangle right here. All right, I covered some here thinking this might be support, and then when it looked like it was going to break, let it drop, covered but down to about half position right here. Um, Shorted it back, covered some more, shorted it back, and then it comes here, it starts getting above, this level here. So I don't like to trade too much, but then it just holds here and starts to curl back down. So I'm thinking, okay, this should resume its sell-off, and then the news comes out, and then boom, we get this nice big move, and what do you know? My stops get hit at 51, and before I look back and see what was going on, this thing had already dropped back, and I got stopped out and shaken out of this position. It wasn't a massive position. It was only like 15, 20,000 shares, whatever it was, but it's still, it's not something that you want to see happen buying top tick. And then when it came back down, I completely forgot I had a buy order out to cover down here, to cover some of the position that got hit, and then I sold out of that right away. And that's the prints we see right there. That's the executions. But this ended up being a loser, not by a lot, but because I did lock in on a couple of trades here, but then I got stopped out on the rest, and this one would have been a good one, but that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, right? Sometimes these things work in your favor, and sometimes you get top tick, and you smash the desk and you move on. So that's what we tried to do, move on. And afterwards, there were a couple more trades. Didn't do a whole lot until I saw the ZSAN hit my radar, and this thing started rallying. I remember trading this company before. I went through my journals real quick, and it looks like it's complete trash, right? So it looks like it's just a runner, very low float, up I think about 2 million shares. That's the only thing that was scary for me. But other than that, this thing had a reverse split, and it ran up, had resistance at $10 on the daily, right here on the daily chart, and that's kind of where we topped out. I didn't do a whole lot. I didn't want to start trading this too actively. I literally had one execution in this guy, and that was right there. You guys can see, it got parabolic. You don't see the volume here, but got parabolic, topped out, came down. When it came back up on the retest, that's where I got in, and then it started working pretty quickly. Had a nice big wash to VWAP. Let's go back to the other chart. Had a nice big wash to VWAP. I didn't really do anything except just sit tight. I didn't cover here. Watch this thing go back up. Now I'm out of the money, and but trash is trash, and I'm thinking I don't have a huge position. I will hold on to it and see what it wants to give me. If it gets to some ridiculous numbers, I'll start getting a lot more serious with it. But I didn't have a huge position on this one, so I was able to just sit through all that and kind of see what it wants to do. There was some bid propping going on here at around $10. A lot of bidders came in, and usually my concern here was that when you have such a low float stock and such little action going on in the market, traders are kind of going to gravitate towards the first opportunity, right? And I have this theory where you have a lot of traders that will try to pick off these very low float names, and the ones who have a decent amount of capital. If let's say something like this that has 2 million shares outstanding, not outstanding, as a float, it doesn't take a lot for some fund or a few traders to get together, and this is a $10 stock, 2 million shares. With $10 million, they could buy up half the float. Anybody who wants to short it to them, they'll buy it. And then once they buy everything that people want to sell, they create the squeeze, and then they run it up and they prop up the bids, and they run this thing to $20, $30, and then they squeeze all the shorts, and then they sell it to them, and the shorts get panicked out and they cover there. So that's one of my concerns with trading with these really low float names. I think it turned over the float like twice, did about 4 million shares if I'm not mistaken, 2 million float. That's not very conducive to shorting, because that very easily can be a trap. They can run this thing. So I saw some bid proppers here, so I didn't really size and I didn't really add to my loser here. I just figured, you know what, I have this position. I can stomach a move to 15, I can stomach a move to 20, and then see how it behaves there to potentially put on a bigger size there. So that's why I don't have a lot of fills in this, but you know, um, we'll see how this thing holds. It didn't close very strong, and thinking tomorrow maybe we get a little bit more unwind, and then we go from there. But tomorrow, if I see this thing reclaim $10, $11, I'll be done with it. Otherwise, get a couple more dollars out of this and then cover. And that was pretty much it. That was my day. I could have done a little bit better job at trading less on some of these other scalping type of symbols that I usually trade, like GE and XLE. But overall, I'm not going to complain. It's a slightly red day, and it feels quiet. Some names are in play, some traders do well, but overall it does still feel quiet. And that's it. I'm just going to try to ride it out and see where it goes day by day. Right now, I'm okay. I'm happy with the trading from today, and we'll see tomorrow. We'll research what's reporting. Earnings are starting to wind down, and then just really focus on whatever's in play, and really focus on doing less and less. I did spend a good chunk of today just creating new scans and doing a little bit of research as opposed to trading. So I'm happy about that. Other than that, I want to thank you guys for watching 7 Points Capital. This is Mike Katz with today's Trader Takeaways.